Welcome back to another fabulous episode of In the Library of Graphic Literature, and we have a new book for you. Dun, 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 dun. Welcome, Wallace Ryan.
Yes, we do have a new book, and we have a march down memory lane with talking about the artists who did that book and a lot of books that led up to that book. So it's going to be a very booky episode. And you can tell I'm very booked up over the whole list. Anyway, the book in question this week is The Warlord by Mike Grell Omnibus. Yay! Now this actually came out, this was the last of, I think it was the last of, 2025. So this, I guess it was one of the last books of last year. But I didn't get it until, because work got delivered and then I had to wait till after the holidays till Dennis could get it over to me. But it's amazingly light, isn't it? Hey, it's when he first handed it to me. That's actually one thing all of you'll notice. It's just like it's no weight to it. Remember when I first handed it to you and you were even surprised?
It's like newsprint, is it?
And that's what it is. It's newsprint. And in some ways, you know, a lot of people would say, "Oh, geez, well, what a rip-off." But in some ways, it kind of suits the material, because when this came out, of course, they were all the newsprint. Everything was on newsprint back then. So it emulates the original comics, I'll give it that much, right? And now this guy, and we'll show some of his artwork to come, but this first started in a series called First Issue Special, and this was number 8 in First Issue Special. And out of all the, what was it, 13 comics that First Issue Special ran for, it is the only one that got continued. So it's, and it went for a good while too. I was quite surprised, right? So I was a big fan of this guy originally. Now, I only read so far into it myself at the time, because I only bought, I think I bought up to 8 or 10 issues of it. And it's about this guy, Travis Morgan. He flies his jet over the horizon as he's come back from Russia on a spy mission. And he ends up going through this huge hole in the North Pole and goes inside the Earth, and there's a whole new world inside the Earth. Which, of course...
It's a Middle-earth theory.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. It's a Middle-earth comic. And so, of course, it's... But besides that, it's actually not too bad. I always thought there was something cool about the comic. And I did read it for quite a while, right? But I don't know what it was. I sort of fell out of love with Mike Grell, the artist. I don't know. I guess the love just went to a like. Because he was... You know, I mean, he was a decent artist and all that, and but you know, I went on to bigger and better things. But I still like Mike, and he was actually integral to a lot of comics I was buying at the time. And we'll have a look at some of his older stuff.
This one is heavy.
Yeah, it's amazing, eh? What the difference is, eh? Now in this one, he did a one-shot Phantom Stranger, and I actually had it at the time because where I was a fan of his, I started looking out for any that he did. Jeez, did I move? Oh yeah, look, this was it. Now I bought this one actually mainly because of who did the cover. This guy like Jim Aparo. Mm-hmm. But when I opened it, it was just like, oh my God, that Mike Grell guy. And you know, it's a serviceable enough story. It's I would learn later, and as I was exposed to more and more comics, that, you know, he did swipe things here and there from poses and all that from other artists and all that, but still, you know, I forgave him for that, because he did a lot of really, really good comics anyway, for, as we'll see in the future ones, in some of the future books we have here. And actually, it took a bit digging, because I had to think about, okay, what Mike Grell comics outside the Legion superhero ones do I have? And as it turned out, I had quite a few. Now this was... Now this one got a lot of memories. This is it's an appearance in a comic, and it was the first issue of this comic called The Batman Family. And what the Batman Family was like I guess like a place for Batgirl, Catwoman, and Bat Dog or whatever, for all them to hang out and have their drink, and Robin. And I actually bought this. I can remember I bought this. I was in Prince Edward Island when I bought this as a kid, and I can still remember reading this, on vacation and all that. It's funny how a lot of the comics that I bought on vacations really had a big impression, I guess, because you end up reading them so many damn times, right? And I bought this at a place called, I think it was Micmac Mall at the time. And I don't know if that place is even open anymore, but I'd say they probably don't call it that anymore, right? But it was in PEI, so and it's funny because when I'd buy comics away, I'd write on the inside front page, like PEI or whatever, thus ruining the values of them. So yeah, this was one, and I bought this because it, of course, on the cover was Mike Grell. And when I seen that, I was just like, oh my God, I gotta have this. So, anyway, we're talking about the 70s, 74, I know, what was it, 74, around that area, anyway.
Next up we have Aquaman.
Da-na-na-na. Now this was, I think this one might have even been earlier than some of these. This was, I think what it was this was one of his first published ones. And I got back. I'd read it because of where I was reading Adventure Comics, which it appeared in, I do believe, at the time. But it just seemed like kind of it seemed like serviceable enough art. This was one of the first big ones, big comics he did. Like I say, I can even recognize some poses mainly from this guy Neil Adams, right? Mm. But still, the drawing itself was, for someone who didn't, like me, who didn't know any different, it was pretty cool. But there was just something cool. He still was a good artist, and and I liked his anatomy. He did actually have good anatomy even on his own, right? But really, it's really nicely drawn panels too. So he was sort of a big star at DC then in the 70s. I don't think he ever worked for Marvel, I think he was one of these company men who just worked for one of them, right? And then, of course, comes the comic that changed everything for him.
Legion of Superheroes.
Legion of Superheroes, yay! And it's funny because his first comic, now he did some inking on the issue before this, but one of his first comics was actually, I do believe was for Legion of Super, was either this or was it the one before it? Yeah, no, I think it was, yeah. But it was one of my favorite stories, and it was, because I bought that's 203, 200 was where I really started collecting the comics again, and this was, of course, one of the comics. Anyway, there was a 100-pager, and Grell had done inks on it, and then finally he took over this book, because the guy who was drawing it, who I really liked at the time, Dave Cockrum, he went on to do the X-Men for Marvel at the time and create like Storm and Colossus and all those really cool late 70s, early 80s characters. Anyway, he takes over and all that, and it starts where he kills off one of the Legionnaires, Invisible Kid as it turns out. It's Invisible Kid or Invisible Lad. And so to me it was just like, wow, this seems to be taking a whole new direction, and I liked his artwork was still holding together very well, and he drew cool costumes. He reminded me of Cockrum that way, was he could actually design cool looking costumes, like this guy Anti-Lad. It's sort of a cool looking costume, but yeah, it was he was a pretty good artist. And he was on the Legion for quite a few years. Oh yeah, there's one of my, I loved them. I had every single one of these, and I read them like 10,000 times over and over and over again. So eventually, he leaves DC. Like all good things. Now, it was after this that he went from the Legion to Warlord, and he'd done some other stuff, but this was actually one of the other big things he did. John Sable, Freelance. Da-na-na-na-na. Now this was a comic that came out through, let's rack my brain. It was, I think it was Pacific Comics or First Comics even. I think it was First Comics is what I'm thinking. Let's see. Because usually they say, you know, this was first. I think it was yeah, First Comics. Not bad. Anyway, this was kind of interesting because it was still his artwork. He was getting actually better and better, to be quite honest. And this is about a guy who's a mercenary, and the artwork, like I say, he definitely did come up a level or two. And this was his own story. I think there was talk of there being a John Sable TV series actually for Netflix or something a couple of years ago. I'm not sure if that ever came through or if it's still in the works. Would kind of hope so, because, you know, everyone seemed to like Mike anyway, from what I'd seen, you know, online and all that. Never seen anything bad about him, and everyone liked his artwork, and he seems to have a little cult following, I guess myself included. Just not a huge fan, but still a big fan. So anyway, so this went on for several years. I only read the first few. I actually have to read the rest of this book. I read the first few issues, and then it fell by the wayside.
Oh my goodness, what do we have here?
And
We have a monster.
Oh no! Is this? Oh yeah! Oh my God! And this is the last book we have here.
How thick that is.
It is. Now feel the weight of that compared to the weight of the other one. There's just as many pages. But this really does, people are surprised when they're like, geez, it really does weigh a lot, right? Anyway, Green Arrow, the Longbow Hunters. This is the main reason I bought this. So after he comes back to DC, Mike Grell, and they give him Green Arrow. He did Green Lantern, Green Arrow for a while back in the 70s. It wasn't bad. I never did pick it up. I should get a copy of it anyway, because I could have used it in tonight's show. It was the one thing I was missing. Anyway, he takes over Green Arrow, and he did a, what do they call it, a prestige format, or like a softbound comic. And this is what, and this, at the time, this was like super hot. It was just like these were going for a fortune. So this was the cover of it. Green Arrow, the Longbow Hunters. And this, I think it was a 3-issue series. It was it was sort of a reinvention of Green Arrow. He changed his costume slightly, and he was moved to Seattle. It's funny when you think about it, very hip. And he takes on, I think they start with a serial killer or whatever. And once again, the artwork, everything, and it was pretty good. And at the time, and I was always a Green Arrow fan, and I bought it, and I was just like, hey, Mike's still got it together, right? So this, he goes on and he does this 3-issue tour de force, as we'll call it. But in the end, he ends up writing Green Arrow for many years. He doesn't do a lot of drawing. He does do some covers here and there and stuff like that, but he writes it for actually a long period of time. And from what I can remember at the time, you know, most Green Arrow people seemed to be pleased with it and all that, and stayed with them, and he became really associated with Green Arrow, as much in my mind as, say, the Legion of Superheroes or any of the other ones. Oh no, that's the end of that. Or any of the other ones he was associated with. Stop. We've done enough. So that's our look at the Warlord, and Iron Mike is his nickname. Iron Mike Grell, Grell. Well, like I say, he's still alive today. He's still working, which is kind of cool. I hope he sees this. Hi, Mike. Never did see him at any comic conventions when I was down in New York, but who knows? I think he was avoiding me. Anyway, it's late in the evening, and we have had enough, haven't we?
Late in the evening? It's very early in the morning.
It's very early in the morning, but anyway, this will be up in a few hours. And then check us out next week for, hopefully, we'll have something new. Oh, and look, I got Paul's shirt on me. Anyway, that being said, Thanks for having us over. Bye.